All right. Greetings. Welcome back to Blackburn News, where everything is connected. How y'all doing? We're live on YouTube, Rumble, and on X. And hope you're all having a good day so far. And we're going to cover what we can cover today of all of the things going on. Can't promise I'm going to get to every single one, but we're going to try. To get some. What's up? Beauty and the Boomer on X. What's up? Hope you guys are doing okay. Here. It seems all this peace talk by the Trump administration was, you guessed it, a can of rat turds. Okay. And we're going to talk about that a little bit. But maybe, just maybe, the reset will come via the Great Flood that seems to be happening all over the planet. The Great Flood that seems to be happening all over the planet. There's a Great Flood going on, but it's not happening in your town right this second, but it will be happening in your town soon enough. Just give it some time. It's happening to a lot of people, though. Every once in a while, we like to drop in and talk about that. This is in Turkey. It's pretty intense flooding. I don't know how much industrial civilization can handle of this kind of wreckage on a regular basis. And there's, a lot of financial losses due to this kind of stuff. And maybe on some level it's what is keeping capitalism going at the moment. A reason to rebuild, or a reason to get people out there replacing things. But overall, it can't be good. It can't be good for the environment. It can't be good for people's financial well-being. Not at all. Where is this? China, Guangdong province. That's what's going down, man. All right. Apparently there's a new round of ice loss. Hold on one second. Let me see if I can find this. Here's old Guy McPherson, or Guy. Most people call him Guy McPherson.
The importance of maintaining Arctic sea ice many times in this space. I have also expressed surprise when climate scientists act stunned at the ongoing rapid rate of environmental change. The planet is amid the most abrupt event in its history, as reported by the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change on October 8, 2018, in its report, Global Warming of 1.5 Degrees. Yes, Earth is amid the most abrupt event in its history, as we have known for more than 6 years. Yet, I never hear a word from corporate media outlets, government officials, or paid climate scientists about this most important of events. Adding to my disgust, the stories keep landing in my email inbox. Here's one from the Cool Down on March 14, 2025. This article is titled, Scientists Shocked by Acceleration of Melting Crisis. We are surprised by the rate. The subhead correctly reads, quote, melting ice doesn't just mean rising sea levels, it can reshape life as we know it, end quote. Indeed, rising sea levels are the least of our problems resulting from an overheated planet. Of far more critical concern is the ongoing, continuing loss of habitat for vertebrates, mammals, and the vertebrate mammals known as Homo sapiens.
All right. I'm not going to play the whole thing. I'll end it right there. Well, that's the basic gist of it. There's ongoing melting. There's ongoing depletion of albedo, etc., etc. And we've been talking about this for years and years and years and years. It doesn't stop continuing. We know it's continuing, as evidenced by a glacial collapse the other day. Good job, Malcolm. Putting yourself and your land in a good spot. Yeah, funny thing is, where I used to live, I was definitely in a good place to survive a flood, but maybe not so much a fire. If it ain't one thing, it's another. But I was in definitely a very good flood protected area. But what are you going to do about fires? I don't know. Build yourself a dugout basement house and park there, I guess. I don't know. Live on a flat plane with no flammable brush. I don't know. I don't know how you escape the fire. Really don't know. Cement walls. Walls. Okay. We're going to move on to the topic that seems to be eating up everybody's bandwidth or viewfinder. When it's Gaza, or but first, before that, we'll at least somebody out there who has a bit of honesty, integrity, and I'm waiting for somebody to swoop in and tell me different, because that's just generally how it goes. Kshama Sawant in Washington. Today, I announced my working class anti-war, anti-genocide campaign for the U.S. Congress to defeat warmongering Democratic Congressman Adam Smith. Kshama is truly an independent socialist, and she was a Seattle City Council person, and she was attacked righteously for her views. Is that a good discussion? John Kirikow and Tucker Carlson, Judy Truitt? What are they talking about? I'm curious. Anyways, her demands are end the genocide in Gaza, no military aid, no occupation, free healthcare for all, tax the rich. We need rent control, make corporate landlords pay. Sounds pretty right on, pretty basic. Who's going to pay for it? I hear people decrying the socialists say. And I always have a chuckle inside when I hear anti-government people talking about why won't they let what are we going to do? They won't let the states regulate AI. What's that you say? Are you saying we need regulation of AI? Are you saying we need governments to possibly step in and do something, like do their job? That is rich. That is interesting. Anyways, carry on. The pretzel logic is, well, it's delicious if you like pretzels. She also goes on to say, we need to build the strongest anti-war, anti-genocide campaign in the country to fight and defeat the rich, the warmongers in both their parties. Go ahead and say that. Say it again. During my 10 years as the socialist on Seattle City Council, we won historic victories. The first $15 an hour minimum wage in any major city, the Amazon tax, and historic renters' rights. My office went to war for working people, not corporate interests. Let's get organized and defeat warmongering Democratic Congressman Adam Smith and elect the socialist money can't buy to the U.S. Congress. Oh, yeah, the mind control is fascinating for sure, Judy. And it's going on so many levels, right? You can, there's, lots of ways that they can control people. You can do it through drugs, pharmaceuticals, propaganda. And as we read the other day, you can do it through radio waves, microwaves, electromagnetic radiation, all kinds of ways that you can control people's minds. But one of the best ways to control people's minds is to get them to believe that they are, on the side of the righteous and working for a good cause. Which is interesting. I'm sure that conversation is fascinating, but be aware that Tucker Carlson has long been rumored or acknowledged as a CIA operative, right? So, one of the big ways that they're controlling people's minds right now is to tell them, we're telling the truth, kind of like we're draining the swamp, kind of like we're all outsiders, kind of like, more, et cetera, right? We're independent news. We're telling the truth. We're giving you the real shiz. And you're like, yeah, I'm on it. I'm here. I'm here for it. But they, and then they slip in the little things that get people believing in non-reality, i.e. a controlled op. That is one of the most powerful mind control tactics being used right this second. Denver says that's neuro-linguistic programming, bit of it. Yeah. No, that is one of the most, if not the most powerful tactic right now, is to tell you that you're on the side of truth and justice, or you're on the side of the exposure, but it's coming from people who want to capture your attention, right? Keep your attention focused on a particular, person or on a particular platform. And the recent Trump campaign for president and the sucking up of the RFK Jr. campaign and the Maha movement was a big part of that mind control, brainwashing. And now they're flipping the script. Or they're not even flipping the script. They're still giving you the same script, but they're doing the opposite of the script, right? They're doing the opposite of what they told you they were going to do under the guise of like, yes, we're changing things for the better. That is a big deal. Like this whole we want peace in Ukraine thing. Trump's going to come in and end the Ukraine war in 24 hours. And he's coming in with the high, he came in with the rhetorical guns blazing about how we got to end this. I'm not going to support this anymore. And Zelensky is a bad guy and screw Zelensky. And I'm talking to Putin, blabbity bip, bat, boom. But the Ukraine war is still going. And the peace talk process is falling apart again. One more time. Oh no, whatever shall we do? right? When Lindsey Graham and what's his name? Why can't I remember his name? I want to call him Richard Chamberlain, but that's wrong. Lindsey Graham was over in Ukraine the day they launched a drone attack and said, and the U.S. said, well, we weren't apprised. Really? You weren't apprised of this? Richard Blumenthal, thank you. Thank you. I knew it was one of those Richards. Here's Putin saying he's no longer going to negotiate with Ukraine.
На высшем уровне. Но как же проводить в этих условиях подобные встречи? О чем?
We're assuming he's saying this because he's saying it in Russian, but he speaks English, by the way. The peace talk process has fallen apart. Peace out, Malcolm. I hope the internet comes back for you. It's fallen apart. Not only was Lindsey Graham and Richard Blumenthal there, Mike Pompeo is in Ukraine. Why is Mike Pompeo in Ukraine? Mike Pompeo is a very famous deep state actor who was once a key part of the first Trump administration. Mike Pompeo just happens to be a board member of the Ukrainian telecom company Kyivstar, helping connect the world. Kyivstar. Parent company Vion. All roads lead back to corruption. July 2024. Pompeo presented a plan that read like a wish list for the U.S. weapons industry and Ukrainian business interests, create a $500 billion lend-lease program for Ukraine to buy weapons, bulk up America's defense industry, and swiftly admit Ukraine to the European Union and help it modernize and develop its economy. It's not about peace. It is about money. Why? Why is he there? Why are these guys there? When supposedly, Trump doesn't want this war to go on. He wants peace and he doesn't want this war to go on. But one of his favorite henchman foil types, Lindsey Graham, is there in Ukraine the day of a drone attack. This is absolute nonsense. But there's still some people hanging on to the idea that Trump is going to do things differently. And it's quite effective until it isn't. The problem is that more and more people are catching on to this. The problem is that the propaganda isn't working as well as it used to. But this is, why were CIA agents such a big part of newsrooms and news stories? Because that's the MK Ultra. That's the programming. That's the brainwashing. That is how you control people's minds. What to believe, what to think, which way to vote. What to buy. What to feel. Let's look at this just a second. Heads need to roll inside the administration. What's up with Pompeo visiting Ukraine? Ukraine carried out this Russian Pearl Harbor attack literally the day after Trump. Number one CIA Director and Secretary of State Mike Pompeo arrived in Kiev, as well as Senate Budget Committee Chairman Lindsey Graham. who on that day pledged to override Trump policy on Ukraine. These people are not against each other. They're just acting. There's I don't know if we're going to get to it, but there's footage of Alex Karp from Palantir saying that his technology neutered the far right movement in Europe, as if he's on the side of what, liberal democracy, but he's all up inside of the Trump administration, which is not liberal. It's very conservative, very far right. Nobody's talking about like the threat of the far right in the US except for liberals. But none of these tech gods or lords are like, oh my God, they are claiming conservatism or libertarianism. They don't seem to be worried about the far right in the US. So they just don whatever mask they need to, say whatever words they need to, even though they don't line up with their actions. You neutered you took down the far right movement in Europe, but you're all up in the far right Trump administration. Okay, that makes a lot of sense, Alex Karp. What are you even saying? I'm sure he doesn't even know. This is about Maha, the Maha movement, and how it has been switched out or has been used as a brainwashing, programming mechanism for Trump to get into office, and then to have these things switched out on you. Maha is now the mRNA technology savior. One of my personal flaws is that I give everyone the benefit of the doubt for far too long. And I gave the entire Maha movement the benefit of the doubt despite some highly, highly questionable moves. Appointment of Marty Makary as head of FDA. Appointment of Vinay Prasad as head of FDA's cyber. Vinay is one of the biggest attackers of ivermectin. Nomination of Casey Means as Surgeon General. I still can't believe this one. How embarrassing of a choice. Appointment of Callie Means as White House advisor working on Maha issues. So yeah, RFK comes out and makes these bold announcements of what they're doing, and everybody's like, yes. But behind the scenes, other things that we've been covering this. We've been talking about this day after day. December 11th, 2024, FDA granting fast track designation to Sanofi for 2 combination influenza COVID-19 vaccine candidates with Novavax. March 26, 2025, FDA granting fast track designation to Sanofi for chlamydia mRNA vaccine. April 10th, 2025, FDA granting fast track designation for Arcturus for the self-amplifying mRNA influenza H5N1 vaccine candidate ARCT-2305. My God, did you hear that? Self-amplifying bird flu, right? So they fast-tracked this vaccine, but while canceling the Moderna vaccine, making it look like, yeah, we're pushing back on the pharma industry. No, and they just approved another Moderna vaccine. They probably canceled it because they already had approved or fast-tracked this other bird flu vaccine. May 20th, 2025, FDA granting Novavax COVID-19 vaccine full approval. May 31st, 2025, FDA approval of Moderna's next spike mRNA vaccine is the last straw for me. I no longer support Maha and the direction Maha is going in. Everything they've done and everyone they've appointed has been for the purpose of rehabilitating the mRNA vaccine technology so they can keep it going. I don't believe this is some 5D chess. It's not even 1D chess. The entire Maha movement is now built around keeping mRNA technology going in some form until the public is once again ready to accept mass mRNA vaccination. This is where we are going, and the above appointments and the fast-track designations make that crystal clear. If I'm wrong, why did Maha greenlight 3 new mRNA vaccines we've been had? No duh. Or no dir. Let's see. We're live on Rumble also, you guys. If you want to watch on Rumble, I don't know. We'll try and keep things moving around with the third stream. Maybe it will stay on Rumble, maybe not. Maybe if you guys care about Kick or Odyssey or BitChute, I don't know. Does anybody have any thoughts on where else they'd like to watch the show? I don't know. I've been reluctantly watching things on Rumble just because a good number of alternative media exists on Rumble, and it seems to be a good, central location, which is not YouTube, for me to go listen to things on. I really just like watching things on YouTube. However, I spend a lot of time on YouTube, like everybody else. Who knows? This is something to keep in mind about the economy or the debt that we're in. Also, keep in mind how much money represents in time. And this is why when I say everything is a money laundering, most things, especially contracts going through the government or, big development contracts or whatever it might be, these things are all inflated wildly so that everybody can skim a whole bunch off the top, because the actual cost of the thing that they're building or making or doing is a very small percentage of the actual budget. Right? When something costs $5 billion or $10 billion, almost nothing costs that much money. And I'd even say defense, even defense technology doesn't even cost that much money, right? Especially defense technology, because that we know they are famous for upcharging literally everything, toilet seats and bolts and nuts and channel lock pliers, whatever, little tiny things that might cost a couple of dollars now cost thousands of dollars. So right when they say they built a plane it cost us $5 billion, to $20 million a plane, hell no. It cost them $1 million to build that plane, and so they found a way to redirect the other 19 million to somebody else's pocket. That's everything is a money laundering scheme. And when you look at the difference between a million, a billion, and a trillion in time, you understand how true this is. So let's look at this. 1 million seconds ago was May 23rd. 1 million seconds ago was May 23rd. 1 billion seconds ago was 1993. Right? So that's the difference between 1 million and a billion in time. It's like 11 days compared to like 30 years. That is are you understanding now? When you think about it in these terms, you understand what a gargantuan amount of money $1 billion is, and what a mega gargantuan amount of money $1 trillion is. So when they say something, oh, something's $1 billion or $5 billion, bullshit. No, it's not. It's absolutely not. Absolutely not. $1 trillion or 1 trillion seconds ago was 30,000 BC. Right? Do you understand? So that is the difference between $1 billion and $1 trillion. 30 years to 30,000 years. That is massive. That is a massive difference. And our debt is $36 trillion and rising $1 trillion every 180 days. I mean, it's hard to even believe that the debt is that much money. But let's say it is that much money. How is that? I mean, that is unsustainable on every level, right? That's an extinction event. That is an extinction event. $36 trillion in debt, right? And the eventual bubble that will be when it pops is an extinction event. Because don't get it twisted. When we have a recession or a depression or a major economic downturn, people fall through the cracks. It is, directly attributed to death and illness. But $36 trillion of a economic bubble, yeah, that's a big crash. Trying to hurry up here. I'm slowing down. Sorry. Excuse me. About the new bill that's passing through that people are like, what? What? That Elon Musk is like, oh my God, it's full of pork, and oh my God, the debt and the spending. I just can't be behind it. Which is all an act. Marjorie Taylor Greene says, oh, I didn't know about this. What? I'm opposed to it. And I voted for it, but I just didn't know it was in there. This prohibition on regulating AI for 10 years. Takes, I guess they figure that the panopticon will be, a done deal, done and dusted in 10 years. Everybody will be fully enslaved and fully monitored, and there will be no way out. Denver Attaway says MMT collapses if the USA mismanages its role enough to where it can't even satisfy the interest payments on the debt. Yeah. Well, and there are a lot of people talking about the fact that there won't, even Elon Musk, but he's telling the truth, but he's coming from a place of utter absurdity because he's part of the, he's feigning like, oh, he's against this. No, he's not. He's a direct beneficiary of this mismanagement. That eventually our entire national budget, the entire budget will go to servicing the debt. And there will be nothing left beyond that. I mean, at that point, I feel like we don't even have to reach that point before the collapse. If you're spending half the budget on servicing, supposedly we're spending a quarter of the budget servicing the debt. Supposedly. But if you're spending half the budget servicing the debt, I don't know how you even do that. And how that doesn't just become runaway. At some point you collapse. You can't do it anymore. All right, we're going to go through, here's Palantir, Peter Thiel, all up, injecting themselves into the government. That's what Elon Musk was there for, to, I don't know, walk, through his Doge scope, enable the walking in of the AI. Whitney Webb says Peter Thiel's Palantir, a CIA front, is harvesting American genetic data from sewers and running the CDC's Center for Forecasting and Outbreak Analytics to help predict the next pandemic before it happens. Wonder why Palantir, Thiel, and Lonsdale are donating so much to Trump. This is from 2024, just about a year ago. That was happening a year ago. They were already in there, like swimwear. Let's see. They're telling you what they're doing. They want us to build the robots, and they want to take over the world with robots. But people will call you crazy if you tell them that's what they're doing. Mark Andreessen, who is just coming out and saying this stuff. Right out in the open. Today, AI is software, but there's another turn on AI that's coming, which is the turn to embodied physical AI.
Well, I definitely know Mark Andreessen, and so I sent this piece to Mark Andreessen.
Today, AI is software, right? And so when you use AI, you use ChatGPT. It's an app on your phone, right? It does. There's no manufacturing kind of component. Really, people are building giant data centers, but it's not a huge generator of like middle class jobs. But there's another turn on AI that's coming, which is the turn to embodied physical AI, which is robotics. Right, and this is a transition that has already happened. It's already actually happened in drones, where drones went from being human piloted to actually being autonomously piloted. They now fly themselves. It's a transition that's happening in cars right now, right, where cars went from basically purely physical products to now basically being rolling computers that drive themselves. And if you haven't tried this yet, if you ever have the misfortune of finding yourself in San Francisco, take a Waymo. It's amazing to live in a cyberpunk future reality where you're in literally a state-of-the-art self-driving car that's literally out of the Jetsons, driving past people who are dying of fentanyl overdoses on the sidewalk.
Oh God!
I recommend having the experience at least once.
Oh my God!
The self-driving car really.
Whoa! Did you just say that? Oh, God.
Really does work, like it's really happening. And then what's going to happen, you've all probably seen, Elon has this Optimus robot that he's building, these humanoid robots. Like the general purpose robotics thing is going to happen, and it's going to happen in the next decade, and it's going to happen at giant scale. And I think there's a plausible argument, which Elon also believes, that robotics is going to be the biggest industry in the history of the planet. It's going to be gigantic. There's going to be billions, tens of billions, hundreds of billions of robots of all shapes, sizes, descriptions running around doing all kinds of things. Those robots need to get designed and built, right? And so my view is, we don't try to get the old manufacturing jobs back. What we should do is lean hard into the manufacturing jobs of the future, which is designing and building all of these new things, right? By the way, which includes drones and cars, right, and robots. And, we shouldn't be building manufacturing lines that have people sitting on a rubber mat for 10 hours screwing screws in by hand, but we should be building, what Elon calls, he calls them alien dreadnought factories, right? Which is like these super sophisticated factories with like tons of robotics. But you can imagine thousands and thousands of different categories of industrial production that have to happen all across the US in order to make this happen. And would cause just like enormous economic growth throughout the country. We get a huge payoff from all the tech investment that the coasts are making, but
it's going to be great. This is what he's trying to tell you. Man, am I going to even get to... Am I even going to get to Israel today? I will eventually. Guys, if you like the show, if you want to support the show, if you want to see the show continue to come to you for free, $99 Monday through Friday. And I want to keep on bringing you the show. Consider supporting the show financially. It really does help. Every little bit does help. As it does take me several hours of my day to bring you the show, which I do. I do out of the love of my heart, but it does help keep the show going, when you guys do contribute, and you know where to do it. All the links are in the description box of whatever platform you're watching on, or there's a link tree on X if you're watching on X. Many of you support the show already, have supported the show on a regular basis. You know who you are, and I appreciate you. We're going to play this from Greg Reese.
In 2024, Palantir made a deal with Israel to harness Palantir's advanced technology in support of war-related missions. We see part of that technology today as the Lavender AI system, which assigns Palestinians a numerical score of 1 to 100 based on how likely they are of being an enemy. It has a 10% error rate, which has been acceptable for Israel and Palantir.
Getting wealthy off of killing Palestinians. Palantir kills Palestinians with their AI and technology.
Oh.
They're killing my family in Palestine.
Yeah. And, you know...
How do you sleep at night?
Well, if you...
Shame on you.
Do you want to hear my answer? So the primary source of death in Palestine is the fact that Hamas has realized that there are millions and millions of useful idiots that will...
Using that excuse. This is why you don't get a flat. How dare you, your AI and your technology from Palantir kill Palestinians?
Mostly terrorists.
So what do you think about the use of artificial intelligence, or Lavender, by the IDF in identifying Hamas targets?
Look, I'm not, without going into all the I'm not on top of all the details of what's going on in Israel, because my bias is to defer to Israel. It's not for us to second guess everything, and I believe that broadly the IDF gets to decide what it wants to do, and that they're broadly in the right.
And along with the Lavender system, there is the Habsora AI system, which means the gospel, which is an AI tool created to address the human issue of running out of targets. Habsora generates up to 100 targets per day. Both these AI systems use Palantir's advanced surveillance technology to track every person's phone records, social media, and movement patterns. Palantir's tech is used by the US military and local police departments. It is the premier tool for mass surveillance. When running for his first term, Trump was saying he would implement a biometric tracking system.
We will finally complete the biometric entry-exit visa tracking system, which we need desperately. We will ensure that this system is in place. And I will tell you, it will be on land, it will be on sea, It will be in air. We will have a proper tracking system.
Palantir co-founder Peter Thiel donated $1.25 million to that campaign, and he donated $15 million to J.D. Vance's 2022 Ohio Senate campaign. Palantir has significant ties to the CIA, starting in 2004 when the CIA's venture capital arm, In-Q-Tel, gave Palantir $2 million. Palantir's Gotham platform was developed by and for the CIA. Initially, the CIA was Palantir's sole customer for several years. Palantir is the CIA's surveillance tool, and now Palantir is to create a system for the federal government that will monitor every American under an AI system, linking Social Security, the IRS, and immigration into one centralized system. It will be using its Gotham software, developed by the CIA, to track and condition human behavior. Most of yesterday's alternative media support this. For those who can still think clearly, this is as dystopian as it gets. But there are many fools who are content that the fascist society being put into place will not be woke. But don't be surprised if it comes with a carbon tax and an American version of a social credit system. Greg Reese reporting.
Right. Denver says Gotham was the name of a quantum network trial that happened under Manhattan. Yes, this is already fully operational in the Gaza conflict. Interesting. We were just talking about Lula, the Brazilian president, and he came out and said this. So I guess this is encouraging. I don't know. I only say that because I don't know, right? It's there are people out there telling you the truth about things. Telling you the truth about things, but they might have other agendas on their plate. Let's listen.
Em Gaza não é uma guerra. É exército matando mulheres e crianças. Possivelmente todas as pessoas de bom senso no mundo, inclusive gente do povo de Israel, e você deve ter lido uma carta do ex-ministro de Israel, do ex-primeiro-ministro, criticando que não é mais uma guerra, de que é um genocídio. Vocês já viram carta de 1000 militares anunciando que aquilo não é mais guerra, é genocídio. Você não pode, a pretexto de encontrar alguém, matar mulheres e crianças, deixar crianças com fome. Eu não sei se vocês viram a cena de 2 crianças.
I mean, he's basically saying you can't kill women and children under the pretext of trying to find somebody. He's calling it a genocide. And he seems genuinely upset about it. You know, he's speaking out against, the killing of people who are trying to get aid. Here, an Apache helicopter opens fire. On thousands of Palestinian civilians awaiting aid in Nuseirat. I don't hear that, but I'm assuming it's in there. Civilians were shot like cattle in what witnesses describe as a massacre. Meanwhile, an IDF veteran on national TV pitches software to Trump, an AI program that scans the open web for radicalization, following the Israeli model of counterterrorism. Just what we need, apparently. I've just built the first AI-powered threat detection system for law enforcement. Really? It's the first? Yeah, I don't think so, bro. If somebody in the Trump administration is listening, partner with me and let's scale this and get local law enforcement the tools they need. I think they already got it, dude. I think it's already there. I think it's already there and is operational. I think it's already on. They're just waiting to tell you, you know, what extent they are using this thing. Or maybe you'll just find out one day. All unawares and whatnot. The White House needs to give me a buzz. Let's get this thing scaled nationally. It's called Gideon. All right.
I have just built, Sean, the first AI-powered threat detection.
I got one called Gideon.
For law enforcement that scans the open web for radicalization and tactical planning. And if somebody in the Trump administration is listening, partner with me and let's scale this and get local law.
Shut it, meathead. These people are ghouls. Speaking of ghouls, it just gets ghoulisher and ghoulisher. Israeli soldiers executed families and set their bodies on fire in their homes, and then they took a picture. All right. We have made for the killing of the people. Yeah, all right. We have shot them like dogs. All right. Yeah. People are watching you, bro. People can see you. A Boston consulting group quits Gaza aid project it built with Israel. Bad optics, perhaps? From DropSite. The Washington Post reports Boston Consulting Group has pulled out of the controversial Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, the U.S. and Israeli-backed aid initiative it helped design in close coordination with Israel. BCG set prices for contractors equipped for distribution hubs in southern Gaza and managed GHF's operations. One person close to the project said they are actually making the wheels turn. BCG ended its contract last week, withdrew its team from Tel Aviv, and placed a senior partner on leave pending internal review. While BCG claims it works pro bono, other sources say it submitted monthly invoices of more than $1 million. The project was architected by the Israeli government, private entrepreneurs, consultants, and some humanitarian actors. The UN and major aid groups have refused to participate, warning GAF's model violates humanitarian neutrality and leaves Israel in control of aid. And it just gets worse. UNICEF claims that Israel has killed or injured 50,000 children to date. Many have been burnt alive, vaporized, or violently dismembered. 50,000. Unbelievably brutal and disgusting. They reported that since October 2023, over 50,000 children have been killed or injured in Gaza. On Friday, airstrikes killed most of the al-Najir family in Khan Yunis. Videos showed burnt and dismembered children pulled from the rubble. Of 10 siblings under 12, only one survived. He is critically injured. My God, I just can't. I'm not going to be able to keep on reading this because I'm going to get very angry and then just start spewing expletives on screen. I don't know if that's going to be helpful. Anyways, guys, I think. Lastly, I couldn't actually confirm whether. I couldn't confirm whether this was he actually posted this tweet, Jim Cramer. Went to his account and I didn't see it. Maybe he deleted it, I guess. Did anybody else see the actual tweet of this? World War III will never happen. I'm very bullish on the human race, and everybody. I think it might actually be made up, but I don't know. I mean, it looks like a screenshot that is from yesterday, and that got views. Everybody knows about the inverse Kramer effect, which is whatever stock move he predicts, go in the opposite direction and you'll be okay. So everybody's been posting this. Quite a few people posted this and said, okay, bro, don't say stuff like this. You should know by now how badly the market proves you wrong. Anyways. All right, guys. I think that pretty much I believe that I've covered two more things. Trying to get to every single thing I needed to cover today. This is IDF openly expressing they're planning to sink the flotilla with Greta Thunberg on it. Anyways, he's saying that they're gonna. You can read it. Hopefully.
גל, צה"ל ערוך להגנה על אזרחי מדינת ישראל במרחבי הגנה קדמיים בכל הגזרות, בצפון, בדרום, במרכז וגם בזירה הימית. חיל הים פועל ימים כלילות כדי להגן על המרחב הימי ועל גבולות מדינת ישראל בים. גם במקרה הזה אנחנו ערוכים. אני לא אפרט את שיטות ההיערכות שלנו. אנחנו כבר צברנו ניסיון בשנים האחרונות ואנחנו נפעל בהתאם.
Okay. So hold the Freedom Flotilla in your prayers, y'all. And lastly, this man calls out the hypocrisy of the blame it on Iran narrative. I know I don't have any good news. You know what? Maybe I'll just do a bunch of music streams for the rest of the week. I don't know, guys. Yeah. Maybe we'll do half Black Bear News, half music live streams. I'm not sure. This man is calling out the hypocrisy of the fear-mongering around Iran when it should be there's another country that we should really be scared of.
Attacked its neighbors. Iran has never attacked a neighbor. Israel has repeatedly attacked its neighbors. Iran signed the Non-Proliferation Treaty. Israel has refused to sign. Iran submits to inspection by the International Nuclear Energy Agency. Israel refuses to submit. Iran has no nuclear weapons. Israel has between 75 and 400 nuclear weapons. So Israel poses an existential threat to Iran. For the last 40 years, Israel has conducted a systematic campaign of disinformation about Iran Why the lies? Why the double standards? Why the hypocrisy? Iran has never attacked a neighbor. Israel has repeatedly attacked its neighbors. Iran signed the non-proliferation treaty.
Ooh, that is a punchable face right there. So Denver says situation of undisclosed operative one world government hypothetical. Most probably a best case scenario that operative one world government is already in place and that the narrative around World War III is actually a very low or impossible event given the current situation. Yeah. It's more likely that we're going to get like a false, like a suitcase nuke false flag. Like that's more likely. I watched a really weird movie last night, and the movie was fairly implausible on some levels, but considering the fact that the Project Bluebeam is in play, the fake alien scare is in play, the false flag nuclear attack is in play. All of these things, are things that the controllers could use to scare people into lock me down harder, daddy mode. Anyways, this movie was called 10 Cloverfield Lane, and it was about a doomer conspiracy theorist who had built a bunker and gotten a couple people inside the bunker. And he had his own issues, but when one person eventually escaped the bunker, they were met with an alien invasion. It was like, okay. But what they were talking about the whole time they were in the bunker, they were saying it was an attack, and they were talking about it as if it was like a nuclear attack. Right. And that there was radiation out there. You can't open the thing. Well, she got out. One of the captives got out of the bunker, and it actually was an alien thing, which I don't know. Remain open-minded to the possibilities. I mean, prior to 9/11, would anybody think that they would watch something like that on TV? As fake as we now know it to be, but at the time seemed quite plausible to a lot of people. Like, whoa, yeah, I totally saw that on TV. Of course that happened that way. All right. Just saying. All right, guys. Oh, I did get a thank you, Tor. Appreciate you, man. You are so kind. Tor hit me up on Buy Me a Coffee and on Ko-Fi. Hitting me with the double stuffs. Thank you, Tor. Very much appreciated. What is this? Northern Disclosure, a new YouTube stream podcast about people who were part of the making of Northern Exposure. Okay. Do I know what that is? I don't think I know what that is. It's about eccentric residents in the fictitious town of Sicily, Alaska. Did I ever watch this show? Maybe I watched this show. Oh, I think I remember the show being. Oh, okay. I remember the show being on. Vaguely. This is a long time ago. Back when my brain was soaking in a fine brine of tequila and pale ale. All right, guys. Way lighter. Yeah, definitely. All right, guys. Thank you. Appreciate you. Don't know that I received any other contributions. If I do, I will let you know. Y'all are the best. and smarter than the average bear. And you know this. See y'all tomorrow at the regular time. Peace.
Mm-hmm.